Hey guys, I'm David DeMuzio. This is Adam, and Adam's just been through the beginning part of the hair transplant process. Now he hasn't had a hair transplant yet, but he's been through the consultation. He had some exosomes injected, started taking some medication. And so today I want to talk about a little self-awareness and how that relates to hair. So we're going to title this video, Does Your Head Need a Hair Transplant? And so I guess what I mean by that is that a lot of hair transplants are psychological. And it's not an all psychological thing, but people come to it from such different angles, I've now realized, after getting written every day basically by guys on Instagram or getting emails. And I'll often get sent pictures of guys where they show every angle of their head and their hair looks perfect. I got written by a guy recently, and he had one of the best hairlines I've ever seen in my entire life, and he kept writing me saying that he needed a hair transplant, and could I see his hair loss? And I was like, I cannot see any hair loss. You don't need a hair transplant. It looks amazing. And this happens pretty regularly to me, that I get guys who actually have great hair writing me. And the opposite happens as well, where there are guys that have lost a lot of hair, and they're asking me, for help and things. So we're going to talk about both sides of those, and hopefully in this video it will help you analyze a little bit of where you might be coming from. Maybe you're one end of that spectrum, the other, or somewhere in the middle, because a lot of that is important in deciding whether you might actually want to really get a hair transplant. My friend Steve told me about a guy who recently came into his office, and he had some of the best hair Steve had ever seen in his entire life. And Steve said, "Why do you want to get a hair transplant? Your hair looks amazing. Your hairline is perfect." And he said, "Yeah, I know that, Steve. It is. And that's why I want to get a hair transplant. Because I'm worried about losing this perfect hair that I have. And so I want Dr. McGrath to take the hair out of the back of my head from where it's the donor area and plant it exactly where the hair is in the front, so that I won't have to worry about losing this gray hair that I have, because that'll be all donor hair there instead." So, that's one complete end of the spectrum. So I think it's really important that you actually really need a hair transplant before you get one. That's one of the things, because just getting one, on the one end of that, where it's like, I just want to put some donor hair there, or I've just had the tiniest little bit of recession, especially if you're a young guy, it could be worse later. So I think, if you're 50 years old or 60 years old and you have a little bit of recession, you just want to have a little bit of better hairline, I think that's fantastic, because then you know where you're at and just get a better hairline. That's great. What are your thoughts on that, Adam, as a guy that you had actually lost like most of your hair, almost all of it really on the top?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lost all the hair up on top. It's, a couple splotches here and there, of course, but nothing that would grow out straight or hard. Baby hairs at best. So
what does it felt like for you, kind of taking this into your own hands? Because I think that's a big part of it. Is even that guy with the perfect Ronald Reagan hair. He wanted to take his hair into his own hands, right? And he wanted to be in control of whether it fell out or not. So yeah, do you feel more confident? How has that changed in your mind? Anything at all?
Absolutely. So at first, it's a long process, right? So
let me actually check to make sure that we're recording. Yeah, we are. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. I was just like, did I press record? Okay, awesome.
So
you can say, yeah, first of all, it's a long process, yeah.
First of all, it's a long process. You go through so many different emotions as somebody, with any sort of thing that might be considered, looked down upon in any way, even though people really shouldn't.
Like a premature aging type thing.
Exactly. So, at first I figured, hey, we could do some things here and there when I was younger. Mm-hmm. There weren't that many options available, right?
Yeah.
And then I kind of just said, well, you know what? I'm going to live with it. I'm just going to get rid of all my hair, shave it all off all the time, every week, just completely buzz, and then not worry about it.
Yeah, it's kind of where I went to.
Right, and then over time, you still get comments here and there, and you get people that kind of say, "Hey, well, you're bald," or obvious things, right? Like, "Thanks, Dr. Obvious. I appreciate that." I didn't know before you said anything about it.
I was bald.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Nobody told me.
I think I was living in Asia when I was like at the most bald, and so there, especially. It's not a bad thing at all. It's like to call somebody in the Philippines, it's called kalbo. Kalbo means bald, and so they just point to me, kalbo, kalbo, go, and I was like, okay, like I know. Like they also point to me, and go, white. I'm like, yeah, I know too.
So yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it really, even though people aren't really bothered by it up front. It plants a little bit of a seed in there sometimes, right? And you think about it later. Like I wasn't self-conscious about it, so I didn't think about it, sit there and stress about it all the time. But then every once in a while, it would come up. Even like when you're laying down in bed or whatever, it's like, wow, this person made that comment. What can I do about it? Nothing really, right? And people would even say, oh, do you shave your head? They would come out and ask, hey, do you shave your head because you like the way it looks, or because you're losing your hair?
Yeah.
Right? And I hated that question the most.
Yeah, I used to get that too, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, well, I'm not growing any hair up there.
Yeah.
So, you go through some of these emotions here and there. Now, one of the coolest things was, hey, reaching out to look into the procedure, right? Because at that point, you're saying, you know what, I just don't want to deal with those comments anymore. I want to not have to wear a hat everywhere I go or worry about, people asking you just strange questions, right? Yeah. So, I did reach out to start the procedure, and at that point,
how did that feel, or like what has this felt like now, taking that step? I'm curious. Has it changed at all how you felt?
So actually, yes, it does play, I think, a little bit, if not a lot, of a role in your psyche, your ability to kind of, hey, brush some things off here and there. But it becomes stronger. You feel like, hey, I can do something about it, right? Even though I was initially told I couldn't, but I went through with some of the exosome therapy. Got to a point, of course, where we previously discussed, hey, I'm going to be able to have that procedure going forward. And at this point, it's more. I feel more freeing. It feels like, hey, I can actually control this aspect a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to move forward. We have a plan. Right, an actual action plan where we said, hey, we're gonna see what we can do at first, right? Get you to that point, okay? And over time, at first I was a little bit, skeptical, right? I was like, I don't have hair. I don't grow hair. Yeah. It's just not possible. So we'll see. I roll my eyes at it. I was like, we'll try it because at this point I'll try it. Yeah. But if it doesn't happen, and I just won't get my hopes up.
Yeah.
And then as the process went on, and I saw some actual changes, saw some growth, I was feeling a little more confident. I was thinking, geez, this is actually coming out. I was feeling better. I stopped shaving my head. I stopped wearing hats everywhere. I still have my hat in my truck every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
But as it progresses, I feel more comfortable.
You feel like you're going like the opposite direction. So even if you don't have a full head of hair, it's still like I'm going the opposite direction. Like I'm getting more hair. So I can definitely feel how, and I think even for me, not that I'm just analyzing it within myself a little bit, because I'm not currently getting more hair. Like I'm only on the way down. So even though my hair looks really good, I think there's some aspect to that in my mind goes, okay, like now I'm just losing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So because I'm not doing exosomes or hair transplants, so I'm only, and that is funny that I remember after I got my first hair transplant, my hair didn't really look that good. But I felt really good about it because, it was like I was going in the opposite direction. Like I had a hairline now of some sort where there was no hairline before. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah,
no, there's definitely some emotions that come up there. Even though, hey, I don't have a whole lot of hair up here, when you see the changes come through that you just haven't seen for over a decade of your life, you get excited.
Yeah.
Your spirits definitely raise up a little bit, and then you eventually look to the potential of being at a point where you don't get those questions anymore, right?
Yeah.
And that's where we're working towards. But it's definitely an exciting process. It it does lift your spirits a lot, and it does give you a little bit of what's the word for it? I want to say it gives you some comfort of having an ability to control something that you weren't able to control before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks, guys. This has been an enlightening conversation for me as well. I hope it was helpful for you. Maybe do a little bit of analyzing as to why you might feel that you're going bald. If you're sending people pictures and everyone is telling you that you are not having hair loss, that your hair looks great, then probably don't get a hair transplant. Maybe get on some medication, you know. Yeah, don't get a hair transplant. But in the same time, if you're getting these kind of comments like Adam and I got from friends, and they're all telling you, hey, are you going bald? You're shaving your head, all these kinds of things. Maybe you are in a position where it's time that you took control of your hair and your head and your life. And it might be, go have a couple of different consultations with some doctors, and this might be a good time for you to have a hair transplant. Thanks for watching.